congratulations on the film. While this is set in the world of football, you need to know pretty much nothing about it because it has all of the drama of a Shakespearean tragedy mixed with a celebrity divorce. And the characters could be wearing suits of armour or corporate suits, and the drama between the two of you is just as dynamic.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things, I guess. That's one of the great things sport does, is it creates this theatre that is kind of Shakespearean and Greek in a way, and even if you're not into the sort of inner dynamics of the game, the scale gets really big really quickly, right? You know, it can feel like life or death, even if it, in the grand scheme of things, isn't. And I think sport is always a good metaphor, especially international sport, is always a good metaphor for countries and where they are. Maybe not always, but certainly in the case of Saipan, it was true, I think, that this small event on a Pacific island, very, very far from Ireland, said a lot about where we were as a country and how we saw ourselves, and split families and split generations because people had very different opinions maybe of who we wanted to be on the world stage. So it's got a whole political element, and then it has the shape of a Greek tragedy, I suppose, of a Shakespearean tragedy, in that there's something slightly fatalistic about it. It feels like it was going to happen. It feels like there's tragic flaws, all of that good stuff. And for me, I always love cinema that has an odd, unusual perspective, that is kind of telling things from, you know, the side, and Glenn and Lisa are brilliant at that. They have an amazing vision, and I think what they did with this story was not at all what they expected. And I can only realise that as we were filming it. I was like, oh right, I see what they're doing. This is good. So it's really creatively satisfying to do that.
And normally in a film like this, I would ask you, what's it like being true to the character that you play in the film? But I think that's probably a risky question in this one, because Roy's not short of an opinion or two.
You know, it was not a biopic, and I suppose I liberated myself from the idea that we were telling the story of Roy or the story of Mick, because I wouldn't dare to, you know. And this is about a very specific event, and I guess a very mythologized event, and I felt like it was my job to sort of basically tell the story as he saw it. And thankfully there was loads to go on. There was lots of interviews, lots written about it, lots of books. So I felt I had plenty to go on in terms of telling the story of this particular Saipan episode.
It seems to be one of the things that tabloids can do is they can set up your heroes against villains.
Yeah.
But this is very much a human story where it shows the humanity of both sides. Is that something you enjoy bringing out?
I loved it about it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Mick McCarthy and Roy Keane, as in terms of, you know, they're both captains of Ireland. Mick's a manager. Roy was a manager as well at one point, and they had very different management styles in some ways and leadership styles, but also they have a lot in common. And I think what I love about the film is the sort of the camaraderie and the feeling of team spirit, and basically just the huge affection that they all had for each other as a team. I think sport sometimes gets a bad rap for all the money and the scale of it now, but like at its best, it's a really amazing thing to unite people. And I go back to this idea that it was like all these lads had the same thing in common. From the age of 5, they loved playing football. They loved kicking football. And there's something really pure about that. And actually, in some ways, this film, although it gets very knotty and thorny and there's lots of disagreements, it all comes from the same instinct, a love of the game. And it gets expressed in different ways and it gets communicated in different ways, but, you know, I found that a really moving thing and in a really surprising way, you know. So, yeah.
Shalai, thanks so much.
Pleasure.
It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Lovely speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey You Guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey You Guys!